Welcome to Sci-Fi Buzz. This week we start off with a 10-year-old film based on a classic science fiction story entitled, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? I believe they do. I mean, I do myself. Anyway, the name of the film is Blade Runner. You've all heard of that film, a great one. And even 10 years later, we can still marvel at the future world that is so completely realized, it's hard to believe that the film is basically a collection of studio sets, tabletop models, and matte paintings.
People usually attempt to do future by presenting a rather bleak, austere, clean, pristine look, you know? And it could go that way, but I've got a feeling it's going to go the other way.
10 years ago, director Ridley Scott took a sharp stylistic turn away from the George Lucas-inspired sunny science fiction films popular at the time into the darker world of Blade Runner. He was not prepared for the reaction his tale of a future gumshoe on the trail of 6 renegade robots would cause.
Previews were sometimes absolutely hateful, you know? They hated it. One or two, you got a few freaks in there, you know, who really loved it. But for the most part, people were depressed by it. And I think we're depressed about the idea of the possibility of this near future, which, you know, kind of slightly overshadowed the story.
Seeing the possibility of their $18 million investment going up in smoke, the studio ordered changes. Campy private eye voiceovers were added. Also an upbeat ending. For a director thought of as a perfectionist by some, a control freak by others, the tampering was maddening.
There were many holes in the doors in my house, you know.
I need your deck. This is a bad one, worst yet.
Depending on your point of view, the tampered version of Blade Runner had the fortune or misfortune of opening opposite a sunny little science fiction film called E.T. While Elliot and friend phoned home $300 million plus, Blade Runner was pulled from theaters after taking in less than 15.
I think what happened is it emerged gradually on videotape. So people then are able to sit down and watch it. And not only that, television can take a film like that, and by definition of the scale of the screen, you get less sound, it's diminished. I'm not saying I'm diminishing TV, but you know what I'm saying, just by the sheer definition of the scale, it's smaller. So you're able to sit there and study it, and also you can switch it off, you can come back. So I think there's a kind of educational process went on by, thank God, VHS, and then Laserdisc.
Scott's original cut of Blade Runner, without the annoying voiceovers and upbeat changes, is available today as the result of a lucky accident. A Warner employee was doing inventory when he discovered a 70-millimeter print of the film. It was sent out as part of a 70-millimeter film festival, and lo and behold, a screening in front of a paying audience of science fiction buffs revealed it was the believed destroyed Ridley Scott version of Blade Runner.
Time to die.
And how does Ridley Scott feel about all this?
Really good.
Now that the look of the film has permeated our culture, and everything from Batman to Brazil to Mad Max to Escape from New York, the director believes people have been prepared to look past the outer trappings and into the story.
So it re-prepared people to start to see the romantic aspects of this film noir.
Even after 10 years, Blade Runner still holds up. What a great film. You know, one of the things us science fiction fans love is getting the inside information about our favorite actors, directors, writers, and artists. And here at Sci-Fi Buzz, that's exactly what we're going to track down for you. In fact, our best source probably is you fans out there. If you have some inside information, please give us a call. In fact, you can call our buzz board right now. The lines are open, even as we speak, so give us a call, and we'll pass on your inside information. Just ahead, we've got a slightly more optimistic vision of the future than Blade Runner. The show is Star Trek: The Next Generation, and we'll get some inside buzz from actor Michael Dorn, who plays that cuddly Klingon, Worf.
So many strange characters. Find out who's who on Dark Shadows and Doctor Who. Don't miss a single episode. Weekdays at 11, 8 Pacific.
You're taking a few clients out to dinner. No big deal. And then 4 more show up. Not the time to run into some preset limit on a bank card. That would be embarrassing. But you know you can handle this. Instead of worrying, you order more wine. The card, the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
Have you ever heard of Candyman?
Look in the mirror and say it once.
Candyman.
For fun.
You don't believe all that nonsense anyway, do you?
Say it again.
Candyman.
For a scare.
A woman died in there. Leave it.
Say it 5 times.
No, I never got past 4.
You're dead.
Candyman.
Try it. We dare you. Candyman. Rated R. Starts Friday, October 16th at a theater near you. You are watching Sci-Fi Buzz on the Sci-Fi Channel. The legendary Ginsu knife, the sharpest offer on television. But now there's Ginsu World Class, the finest knife in the world.
Finer than our German knives?
Yes, even finer than our own classic Ginsu. The high-carbon stainless steel blade has incredible strength. Even with abuse like this, it still never needs sharpening. Nothing cuts it like the Ginsu World Class. It's as simple as that. Even with its unique triple ground curved blade, it's yours for only $29.95. Complete with this double guarantee. Plus, these steak knives and accessory knives free. Order yours now.
For rush delivery, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-652-4242 or send $29.95 plus $4.95 shipping to Ginsu World Class, P.O. Box 4951, Omaha, Nebraska.
If you're a fan of Star Trek: The Next Generation, you know that over the past 5 years, some of the best scripts have been about the Klingons, their customs and culture, and the first Klingon ever to make it as a Starfleet officer, Lieutenant Worf. Well, our Sci-Fi Buzz producer, Dave Garrison, has spent a lot of time on the Next Generation set since the series began, and right now you have a story about Michael Dorn as Worf.
That's correct. Actually, the first time I went to the set of Star Trek: The Next Generation was before the series was even on the air, and Michael Dorn was a bit player. Worf was not originally part of the series, but, you know, it started as a bit part, and then it took off. Yeah. Suddenly the series is on,
And 5 years later now, Michael Dorn is a big star.
Well, sort of.
Klingons do not pursue relationships. They conquer that which they desire. However, Lieutenant Desoros serves under my command.
Though millions of viewers recognize Worf, the Klingon, on Star Trek: The Next Generation, few people know what the actor behind the alien actually looks like. When we interviewed Michael Dorn, we were surprised to meet a very handsome guy, sporting a summer beard during his hiatus from filming.
I mean, I've always played nice guys and real, you know, straight as an arrow and, you know, and doctors and lawyers. And this guy is complete opposite. So I'm having a ball with it. I want you to assist me in performing the Hekba ceremony. I want you to help me die.
What? Dorn says this is the best role he's ever had, but it comes at a steep price. Playing Worf is extremely demanding because of the elaborate makeup required to turn Michael into an alien.
I go one chair and they put the glue and the head and color and all that. Then I go to another chair and they put the wig on and coif it. And then I go back to this chair and they put the goatee and mustache and do some more coloring. And it's by the time, you know, people are just dragging in at 7 o'clock, I'm like, I've been there for a while, and it's pretty wild.
With a long makeup session added to an already long day of filming, Dorn has practically no time for a personal life.
All I have is just the weekend. You know, usually you go home and if you have a big scene the next day, you read the script and do your lines, and then you're in bed by 9. Well, I get up at 4 to get there at 5, and makeup's 2 hours, and I stay. Usually, this year has been really rough. We've been there until like 9 every night, and Friday night is the worst because they can work us. We don't have to get up the next morning, so we are there until about 11. Sir.
share their enthusiasm for out-of-this-world adventures.
I noticed, though, that you're also going to be showing Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and I did one of those episodes for Irwin Allen just prior to signing for Lost in Space. And also Amazing Stories is, you're going to be running those, and I did one of those about a giant pumpkin.
Leonard Nimoy was more interested in talking about books.
I'm not particularly drawn to what I call nuts and bolts science fiction. I tend to like more of the Ray Bradbury kind of, or Isaac Asimov kind of social comment or political comment or scientific inquiry or questions that are relevant to us here at this time.
But the importance of the evening and a sore throat still didn't keep Joan Rivers from throwing a few well-timed sci-fi one-liners around.
Well, I'm Jewish, you know, and there's never been one Jew that has seen a flying saucer or anything.
Other celebrity well-wishers included Night Stalker Darren McGavin, War of the Worlds star Jaron Martin, and a certain Cylon fighting lieutenant.
The cigar-smoking lieutenant, a womanizer. He was very 70s.
Kay Koplovitz, president and CEO of the Sci-Fi Channel, saw the event as the beginning of a new adventure in television.
We vision Sci-Fi Channel as being on the cutting edge technology with the space program. We hope to have a shuttle cam to give people a real feeling of what it's like to be on the space shuttle. We are working with the computer companies in Silicon Valley to look at virtual realities and ways it can be integrated for a home audience, which I think is a few years away, but there are steps being taken now. So we think we have some very good and rich ideas of how to connect fantasy and fact.
Hi, I'm Bill Becker from Hesperia, California. I'd like to start a drive to rename the space station from Freedom to Roddenberry in honor of the great Gene Roddenberry. He sent more for the acceptance of space travel than anyone else.
The Buzzboard number is 213-851-7235. Now, for most of you, that's a long-distance call. But if you give us a really great news item about science fiction, fantasy, or horror, we'll make you and your voice very famous as a reporter for the Sci-Fi Channel. Warning, Will Robinson, an inside look at Lost in Space, and a chat with Mars author Ben Bova when the Buzz reconnects.
George Foreman and his sons George and the taste of new Doritos now with more natural cheese flavor. George Foreman the fifth. George the fourth.
Crunchy.
George the third.
Cheesier.
George Jr.
It's a mucho macho nacho.
And the original George.
What? I was wrong.
Conclusive proof, 4 out of 5 George Foremans prefer the taste of new Doritos tortilla chips with more natural cheese flavor.
Who taught you kids how to eat like this?
You, Dad.
You were here. He has the traveler's checks here. Uh-oh. Well, now there's American Express traveler's checks for 2. The first checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
I don't think you find this place on any map.
Some call it the Bermuda Triangle.
It's kind of a vortex.
For these time travelers, it means the fantastic journey. Weeknights at 10, 7 Pacific. You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
Everything is beautiful. Don't look at those!
It's Ray Stevens' Comedy Video Classics. Ray Stevens has sold millions of comedy records.
Yeah, I did.
Now, for the first time, you can see 8 of his greatest, funniest hits.
Are you naked?
And you get it all on one hilarious VHS videotape.
Lord, have mercy on me.
You'll get The Streak, The Mississippi Squirrel, It's Me Again, Margaret, Setting Up for the Dead, Surfing USSR, Santa Claus is Watching You, Help Me Make It Through the Night, and Everything is Beautiful.
We'll have a big old time, Margaret.
Here's how to order.
For rush delivery of your Ray Stevens classic comedy video, use your credit card and call 1-800-652-4242 or send $19.95 plus $4.50 shipping to Ray Stevens, P.O. Box 1771, Department SC, Burbank, California.
In just a few moments, we'll meet Ben Bova, science fiction writer with the emphasis on science. You know, his books are polar opposites of our next buzz, Lost in Space. Now, the coolest characters on Lost in Space, I think, were Dr. Smith and the robot. But did you know they weren't even part of the original network pilot? So let's go back and check out the creation of that campy cult classic, Lost in Space.
This is the beginning. This is the day. You are watching the unfolding of one of history's great adventures.
It was a big day back in September of 1965 for those of us who grew up under the first skies filled with real satellites, capsules, and spacemen. Here was the beginning of our own space program, one that enlisted 10-year-olds.
Will, Penny!
The original pilot was called Space Family Robinson, but changed to avoid legal conflicts over a Gold Key comic with the same name. It chronicled the adventures of pilot Don West and the Robinson family, John, Maureen, Judy, Penny, and Will.
Dr. Smith, you shouldn't be here at all.
Dr. Smith was an afterthought of the writers, to add a source of continuing conflict to the close-knit Robinsons.
I have reprogrammed the robot. His power has been activated. Exactly 8 hours after launch, the robot will destroy the spaceship with all hands aboard.
First conceived as a villain, Smith was originally to have been played by All in the Family star Carol O'Connor. He soon evolved into the show's comedy relief.
Don, what can we do? How can we get a line to him?
Actor Jonathan Harris never worried where his lines were coming from. He wrote them himself. Every insult and every cowardly snivel were reinvented by the actor.
My dear man, in the first place, I am not an official member of this expedition. And in the second, I'm simply not commissioned for it. The heart, at my age, it could go at once.
Also an afterthought was the robot, played by Bob May and revoiced by Dick Tufeld.
Inertial guidance system destroy.
Unlike today's special effects characters that require 5 or 6 puppeteers to operate, the robot was a low-tech one-man affair. Bob is flashing the chest lights with a telegraph key in his claw. He's looking out through the plastic collar. You can't see him because he's in blackface. The bubble brain is attached to his head. Bobbing and ducking creates this kind of animation.
Now listen, we're not going to have any gravity for a while, so we're all going to have to hang on.
Oh, boy!
But it was Will and Penny we all lived through. Kids like us who just happened to be taking the ultimate motorhome vacation.
Gee, that looks like fun.
Would you like to try it? Having fun up there?
Kids' dream, teenagers' nightmare.
Dad!
A few years into the show, it became clear that while John and Maureen were set and things looked okay for Don and Judy, Will and Penny were going to have a tough time finding a date for the senior prom. We can only hope that eventually the ship was fixed, a planet filled with other teenagers was located, and that Will and Penny were able to escape the really bleak social opportunities their parents created for them.
Mr. President, status control on Jupiter 2. As of this moment, the spacecraft has passed the limits of our galaxy. It's presumed to be hopelessly lost in space.
Since the inception of the U.S. space program, author Ben Bova has carved a niche as a sort of promotional fiction writer for the program. To this day, his allegiance to space technology continues, along with his efforts to enlighten the public through his novels.
I think the biggest surprise is how difficult it is to get the public to understand the benefits that science and space are giving them.
Bova wrote the Trikon Deception with astronaut Bill Pogue. The author set the story on a space station a short 6.5 years into the future.
If the United States wanted to build a space station like that, it could be built now. There is nothing in the novel, the Trikon Deception, that cannot be done today.
No one knows that better than the authors. Bill Pogue actually spent 84 days on Skylab. And with the information in their novel so technologically sound, Ben Bova won't even refer to it as science fiction.
You know, in my mind, it's not science fiction because we're writing about something that one of us has already done. If you think of science fiction as dealing with things that haven't happened yet, well, Bill Pogue lived on a space station. It's no more science fiction than writing about jet fighter pilots.
Bova makes no bones about what he considers to be the greatest obstacle to space exploration: politics. The theme plays a large role in his recent novel, Mars.
To send people to Mars, you're going to need a political purpose. And in my novel, Mars, the political purpose is the nations of the world essentially making a public relations stunt to show how united they are and how important they feel high technology is and expanding human knowledge.
And do so-called dirty politics come into play?
The politicians, all of them in office, want to have the honor of being able to say that the first human beings went to Mars during my administration. But they haven't the slightest care in the world about what we learned from Mars or sending further expeditions. The scientists who are on their way to Mars desperately want to find enough there to guarantee that the first mission to Mars will not also be the last mission to Mars. And that provides some of the tension in the novel.
Bova's enthusiasm for space exploration is simply overwhelming. Combine it with an imagination that is overflowing with ideas, and you've got the space program's best-kept public relations secret.
I fully believe that unless ordinary people can participate in this expansion into our frontier, it's not going to be an expansion, it's going to be a joyride for an elite few, and we'll always have problems getting support from the taxpayers.
Hi, this is Kurt Phillips of Abilene, Virginia. I'd like to tell the Buzz Board about a great new novel that's running in Analog Magazine. It's called Assemblers of Infinity by Kevin Anderson and Doug Beeson. It's good, hard science fiction, the kind that keeps me reading this stuff after 20 years.
Hi, I'm Ben Smith. I'm calling from Forest Heights, Maryland. If you like science fiction comics, I would recommend very highly the Valiant Comics. It's a new company that has just come out. Some of their comics are Solar Man of the Atom and Archer and Armstrong.
Sci-Fi Best Bets are next when we reconnect the Buzz.
You were here. She has the traveler's checks here. There's got to be a better way. Here's one now. New American Express traveler's checks for 2. The first checks either of you can use. Don't leave home without them.
Wake up. Call 1-900-976-WAKE. Get out of bed and get ahead. Use your touch-tone phone. Call 1-900-976-WAKE. We're the wake-up that works, so why worry? Call 1-900-976-WAKE. Do it now. Only $2 per call. Depend on us. Call 1-900-976-WAKE. And wake up right. Wake up right. Wake up to us tomorrow.
We're here asking kids what they think of Nuclear Stick Sensitive.
I've never seen this before.
Cool, this is new. Yeah, Nuclear Stick Sensitive is deep penetrating medicine with aloe and skin conditioners.
Maximum strength without like totally stinging? Great, now I can use it.
You got it.
So you can stick it to pimples and it won't kill your face? Yeah, but your face is killing me.
It's just like strong and sensitive.
Yeah, like me.
Nuclear Stick Sensitive with aloe and skin conditioners. Go.
Stick it to the pimples. Give your face a break.
You are watching Sci-Fi Buzz on the Sci-Fi Channel.
As president and owner of Athena Communications, DeVry graduate Noelle Phillips is highly successful.
I'm involved in every phase of my company's operations.
Noelle's clients are among the largest corporations in North America.
To meet clients' needs, I use every aspect of my DeVry education.
DeVry bachelor's degree programs in business and technology give you the knowledge it takes to succeed.
On the solid foundation DeVry gave me, I'm building a company.
Call anytime, 1-800-247-7800. DeVry, we're serious about success.
The Sci-Fi Channel presents amazing characters.
These guys are strange.
Amazing adventures.
Why can't life be as good as a movie?
Amazing creatures. And amazing new worlds. Television was never like this. The Sci-Fi Channel presents Amazing Stories. Saturday nights at 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific.
I have an announcement to make. Cold-blooded murder is more popular than ever. Touché.
Weeknights at 7:30, 4:30 Pacific. Reach beyond the solar system to 1,000 twinkling stars. It's the wonder and awe of real science and inside space. Coming up next.
On this week's Best Bets, there's good news in Videoland. Republic Pictures recently released 6 of the old cliffhanger serials on home video for the first time. And you know what that means.
Would mean the destruction of the world and everyone on it.
Lighten up. It means these popular Saturday matinee favorites from the 30s and 40s can find a whole new generation of adventure fans.
It may sound ridiculous, but it's theoretically possible.
12 episodes of each series are being released on 2 video cassettes, chock full of unforgettable entertainment, like
those zombies must have been as crazy as they looked.
Zombies of the Stratosphere. And long before the Rocketeer, we had
Rocket Man,
King of the Rocket Men.
I'm known to the police and the FBI as the Crimson Ghost. Under my influence, you will relinquish your willpower and become my slave.
So as they said back in the 40s, sample some cereals for breakfast, cereals for lunch, or down some cereals for dinner. You can have cereals anytime you want. From electronic media, let's jump to the printed page, where we highly recommend horror master Stephen King's latest hardback, Gerald's Game. The novel has been hovering near the top of the bestseller lists since its debut in July. This tale of a woman forced to confront her troubled past under extraordinary circumstances could very well be King's darkest book to date. And those are this week's Sci-Fi Best Bets. Next week, the buzz will be about Candyman, the new movie from the mind of Clive Barker. Covington Cross, the medieval fantasy series where a boy's best friend is his broadsword and a girl doesn't go anywhere without her crossbow. And Batman, the animated series. It's Dark Knight Light for the pre-Clearasil set. The stories and art direction are causing such a buzz that adults are setting their VCRs during the week and their alarm clocks on Saturday mornings. I'm Mike Jarek. Let's buzz again together. Same time, same Sci-Fi channel.
You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.